but actually they were 42% last year, and they're up 45% of our market share, which is very interesting that they do want to buy. Unfortunately, they're also in a market where over last year we've got 3% less inventory and home prices are 7% higher. This is all across the board, not just Louisville specific. So it's harder. They want to own homes, but it's a lot harder for a lot of the millennials to get into the home buying game because they don't have equity from their current house. They don't have a lot of savings. They don't have a lot of credit. It's interesting now that people don't understand no credit is just as good as bad credit. Phone bills have helped, but a lot of kids come out of college and everything was done through their parents, and so they don't have anything that they've ever paid upon. Or it's great that they don't have credit card debt, but you also need some sort of, credit to get started in, to the home buying process. Something else to speak about is home buying is not for everybody. The millennials need options because in certain cities, home buying is just, you can't do it. I mean, you can't come out of college or you can't come out of, starting your first career and think that you can buy a home. Louisville, fortunately, is a place where we do get a lot of young buyers, where you do get a lot of people coming out of college who see the importance of it. Louisville's a very stable market compared to a lot of the United States, where when the bubbles bursted all across and things went way up and way down, Louisville, we definitely felt it here, but we did not have huge ups, so we didn't have huge downs. We are a very traditional market. New concepts like Norton Commons take a long time for us to pick up on. I mean, that has been, it's old hat now, but when that was coming out, we had to smell it, taste it, touch it, see it before we would buy into this. Many other cities, it's a concept, they go for it, things are sold, on an idea, and Louisville is not. We're, very traditional. Downtown living has taken a long time to take off in Louisville because it's traditionally not what we've done. So we're thriving and we're getting more progressive, but we are in the housing market that's positive and negative, because we don't have a crazy volatile market that if you invest and you're freaked out in 2 years on, is this going to be an investment, a good investment? Usually you're okay, unlike some of the other cities where you see a lot more ups and downs. When talking to young people, or not necessarily millennials, but anybody else, is it a good time to buy? Is it the right decision? And it always depends on, I think the biggest thing is your longevity. Like if you're relocating here and you call and I might be here 2 or 3 years, I want to buy a house, it may not be the best thing for you. Would love to sell you one, but if you have to turn around and sell in 48 months, is it, or 2 or 3 years, is it going to be a good investment for you? And there's a lot of factors that will go into that. So telling every young person or millennial they have to buy a home, it's the American dream, isn't always what they should do. I think some of the pros about it are, you talk about your payment will be the same for technically 30 years. And we are in a market where we're still at just over 4% interest rates, which is crazy low, which we don't see going up. And, people for the past 5 years, if it goes over 4%, think we've gotten high. But, I think I bought my first house and it was 6.5%, and I thought I had a great deal. And then you talk to people 20 years ago who paid 18%. So in terms of history, money is very cheap right now in buying a house. So that's one of the pros, that if you can afford it and do it, you're not going to have raised rent, you're not going to get kicked out. You've got some longevity, you've got some permanence on what you're doing, so that you don't get in over your head and file bankruptcy. There is tax benefits, and I think somebody else is talking tax benefits, but there is a little bit of a tax benefit on writing off your interest at the end of every year. There is the freedom to modify and do what you want. The millennials are a DIY age, so being able to make something and make it your own is an important factor over renting for 2 years or 3 years. Your community ties, I think most of the time when people buy homes, they've made a mental note that we're staying here and I'm going to invest in my community, I'm going to get involved with my neighborhood, I'm going to meet my neighbors because I feel like I'm going to be here for a while. So I think those are a lot of pros on why millennials, or why somebody would even relocate. I would look at relocation people as well as coming to Louisville, and is it a good time to buy or should I rent? Some of the negatives might be that you don't have good credit, or you've messed up some payments, and you can't get a loan, and it's easier to just rent something for a few years, build up your credit. I mean, I've gotten people on the 7th year of I'm ready to do it, that have gone through bankruptcy, and they've waited it out for other reasons, and renting is sometimes the better option for people. The flexibility, your job might change, your situation might change, you want to travel, there's having the flexibility, not saying that you can't do that with the house, but having the flexibility to take off and go, or get a new job, or move to another state sometimes is a reason not to buy. I don't feel like we have a ton of millennials here, so if there are other kind of directions that we want to go, I mean, I kind of have more stuff. Our Louisville market in general has, I think last month we saw an 8% increase almost in home pricing, which is pretty big for Louisville. A lot of people you talk to say it's totally a seller's market, multiple offers, can't do anything, and that's a little dramatic, but I've also faced it, so I think it depends on what area of town you're talking about. 5 years ago, I wanted the buyers all day long because, there was so much to be had, and this time of year, I would love to have the sellers because it's a whole different game right now than it was 5 years ago. In our business, certain areas, certain price range, you do a lot of work up front, getting the houses in as perfect condition as they're going to be in. There's a lot of things getting them ready. Nobody wants to do work anymore. Just FYI, nobody wants to do a thing. So either you have your flippers or your investors who are going to come lowball you and pay cash, or I'm ready to move in, hang up my pictures, and not do anything. So anybody that's kind of floating around in the middle are the ones not getting the best bang for their buck when they go to resell. There's not a 100%, if you invest in this, you're going to get it back, but I can walk in and tell people, if you spend $5,000, I'm going to get you that and more because your house is going to be perfectly ready to go, rather than somebody coming in and starting to figure out, well, I need to do this, I need to do that. I can get that done for $1,000, where a buyer's going to tell me it's $5,000 or $6,000. So money spent up front, getting your house as shiny as it can be, is always, most of the time, a good, smart investment. How we're prepping our sellers now is getting it as shiny and possible as it can be, and letting them know it's, there's a lot of therapy going on here, because the buyers hate it that I walk into a house, there's 10 other people looking at it, I have to be, told to make an offer, and this is my biggest life decision, and I have to make it, right now. Also telling your sellers that, we're going to put your house on the market, we're going to price it very appropriately, and you're going to have just move out for the weekend, take your pets, go, because you're going to have a lot, and you're going to have a very small window, to make a decision on selling your house. So it's been an interesting turn in our industry in writing offers. I mean, we're talking to attorneys and stuff all the time about what's the best way to present offers in multiple offer situation. You're getting, things told that here's my offer for $150,000, and I will pay $10,000 more if it doesn't appraise for $150,000. So what that means is you're getting all these offers, but the market's only saying that, the appraiser's saying the house is worth $150,000, but you've got 7 offers up to $170,000, and it doesn't appraise. So people are now writing into offers, I will bring more to the table to make this, this is all just getting in the door. I'll pay, bring more to the table just to get this to work. And you can have a week to move out. When back in the day, you would never, you give somebody 48 hours maybe. So it's interesting, and I've seen houses in the floodplain are now going off the market in 2 weeks, where that was the kiss of death before, but I think people are so frustrated that they can't get in, that a house in the floodplain is now, achievable for them because 10 people aren't knocking. There you go. So that's what it's an interesting market. Other alternative, but we're also preparing because things aren't working out. So when you've had 7 buyers and you get that one offer, your chances of getting to the closing table are a lot less than they were 3 or 4 years ago. So it's just an interesting market that it's ever changing, and you got to be prepared and try to, as a seller, do your homework up front, trying to get that best possible buyer. Because how we explain it is, you're in the driver's seat till the minute that you accept a contract, and then all of a sudden the power swings to the buyer, and they've got you under contract, and they're going to inspect and do all of these things. They've taken the power. So it's very much an interesting mindset right now between listing your house and getting the offer and everything that happens in between and all the preparation, where people are like, well, actually, I found my own house online. It's like, the internet is out there. I don't pick every single house for all of my clients. They will bring me everything because they're scouring the internet, they're looking in neighborhoods. The work comes into is getting the house, staying under contract, and getting to the closing table, because it is a lot harder, and attorneys will tell you that deals aren't staying together like they used to because of a lot of the emotional that gets involved in multiple offers and everything else. So it's a different market. You can still buy, you can still sell. Interest rates are still low. It's obviously, there's pros and cons to both of it. I think Louisville has a very stable real estate market that most of the time people do okay. Even when our bubble burst, I didn't have a whole lot of clients that were so upside down that they, were calling bankruptcy attorneys. They were able to make it work, which I think Louisville is very affordable compared to a lot of our sister cities like Nashville and Portland and everything else. When we look at the housing numbers, our housing is still make it great. Now we need more people. On a side note, moving to Louisville, as our population is stagnant, so we need more people moving in, but our housing market has always been stable, somewhat sturdy, and as an investment, I think if you have the right advice and you have good professional help, you're probably going to do okay.